Hello everybody, and welcome to the set of Lost once again. We are here in what's affectionately known as the Hydra facility, and what we were putting here were two very important cages. One was to hold Sawyer and the other was to hold Kate. And they were scripted as places where the Dharma Initiative was doing experiments on bears or some kind of animal. So when we were designing Sawyer's cage, it was specifically scripted that there were three devices in the cage itself. So let's go and have a look at those. So when we were designing this, we were thinking, or Zach was encouraging us to think that this was a place where bears were doing these experiments. So he'd be actually down on the ground and thinking, well, you know, how would a bear kind of push this, and a bear, you know, move around here, and he would put his foot down here, then he'd slap this thing. So we were thinking with that in mind when we were actually designing this thing, which was kind of funny. When we were researching what these cages could look like, we came up with this kind of heavy structure that would hold a bear, because actually, you know, these are meant to be pretty strong, and in the script, you know, Sawyer gets thrown into this and hit, so, you know, they had to be built to actually last not only for the action but for this kind of environment. You know, this is real steel that we've actually bolted to these wooden structures that actually become the superstructure, and then these metal bars actually are inserted in here, but they had to be metal because of the particular action that was happening here, and also to give the right look.
And then you go straight down the side here.
Okay.
All right.
So we had to kind of design these things with, as I said, real materials with steel, you know, plaster, and latex paint, so that like over the months and weeks that it rains here, that these things just wouldn't simply fall apart. So Kate's cage was designed different to Sawyer's in that it just gave it a different orientation. It was a vertical cage, and that also helped the scene whereby Kate's escaping. So by having the cage kind of in a vertical orientation, she'd have more area to travel, and that would give that sense that she's actually got to fight her way out of this cage, so to speak. And it's not just designing a physical element that sells it, it's how it works within the jungle itself. So if you see like certain vines like this and all the vegetation that's kind of coming up to the structures, that's things that our greens department has actually brought in specifically to give the sensation that these cages have been here for a long time. So thank you, Troy, and all the greens crew for doing that, because, you know, they make our work look great. They make it look like it's been here for more than just 2 weeks.